Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. It's time to go through something that I think plagues a lot of Age Mythology ranked players at the kind of low to the mid level before anything else starts happening. I think a lot of players, look at top level games and go, "Wow, nothing's happened for 7 minutes or 8 minutes, and how has that happened? Like when I play, I'm getting rushed off the map. Why doesn't that happen all too often?" Well, this is going to be a really, really good example of sort of defensive decision making and how to kind of survive when your opponent is playing incredibly aggressive at you while you're opening in for a fast second town center. I'm going to talk about all of the different reasons why I make sort of the strategic decisions at the start of the game, and then how to kind of react against certain things that come through. So we're playing Gaia. We're up against Shelty. I rate Shelty really, really highly. I think is an incredibly tough opponent. Very, very technically sound in terms of mechanics, strategy, multitasking, all the things that make someone very, very difficult to play against. He's very great. So I'm going to try and play this in my own style. I don't want to jump into his style and sort of have a difficult game like that. So I'm taking a look at the map, trying to decide what happens. Now, the one thing that I've already seen here is, well, the two things I've seen here. So first is I've got an exposed gold mine in front of my base. So I'm purposefully building that mana forward there. One, spreading out lush to get around that spot. If I can defend that spot nicely, it's going to be good. And two, setting up to build a temple there to kind of make it even harder for my opponent to kind of break in. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I've already seen both of my town centers. So the one on the left, if you look at the minimap, I know it's quite small, but you see there's a gold mine there. There's not really any hunt close by. It's not the best town center. It's serviceable, but I don't particularly like it enough to like say I'm going to rush this against a Zeus player. My town center on the right-hand corner, that's got a gold mine behind a forest. It's got a whole bunch of hippos on it. I don't know yet, but there is a gold mine that is behind that town center as well, which I may or may not discover. I can't exactly remember, but I do see that there's a gold mine behind my opponent's town center on the right there, which gives me a little bit of an inkling that something may be going on behind my base. Don't 100% know, but I do make a note here that, wow, this town center is really good for Shelty. I should keep an eye on it, see if he goes for it. If he does go for it, I'm probably not going to be able to get a whole lot of damage done to that. There's one very simple wall that can be placed. It's going to make it very tough to raid it. And there's obviously a town center there to retreat into if I do manage to get in there. So it's not going to be any sort of all-in vibes for that town center. I decided to go through Oceanus here. I don't really think you have an option to go anything other than Oceanus against Zeus. If you go for automatons, you're just asking to get Hoplite, Minotaur, and even if you go for Oceanus, you're still asking to get Hoplite, Minotaur. It's probably the strongest strategy which Zeus has against Gaia. Center Hoplite or Hoplite Hippias or Hoplite Hippias with Minotaur. They're all kind of okay, but it's all kind of the same thing, and you do need to have some sort of answer for it. And my answer is going to be, well, I want to make sure that I have Bite of the Shark, Murmillo to deal with the hoplites. I also want to have open this idea of getting a fast heroic in. So like I said, I saw how good that town center was, and I said, well, if he grabs it, I can't really do anything. So we're probably going to need to do some sort of fast heroic off of the two town centers. That's kind of what's going through my head. I'm like, okay, are you going to grab it? You're not going to grab it? Whatever. I see a gold mine at the top here. Super happy about that. Rushing up this town center. My plan to get this town center up against any sort of pressure is actually to heroize a couple of citizens and then just walk them over. Yes, this is resources lost, technically speaking. The town center will build a little bit faster, but you'll see the reason why when my opponent here, he's scouting this out. He knows it's coming. And this is a big thing that I've kind of been trying to come to terms with on Legacy. It was not impossible. If you really wanted to deny a second town center, against pretty much everything except for Egyptian, you could basically make it happen. But in Retold, the Atlanteans, there's not really a way to deny this. He does bolt my Caladria, which I did not account for. Most Zeus players have been bolting Oracles. This bolt on the Caladria is actually really, really nice. But even so, my town center is almost finished. I'm going to start running citizens slowly away. Kind of already go down just to distract. I don't really care if I lose it. I'm going to lose a citizen maybe here, which is not the best. Try to get my Caladria, my second Caladria over to save everything, but not able to do so. And as my second Caladria is in, I get the town center up. So he gets one villager kill, but a Hoplight's here. He's not going for a second town center. So this one citizen kill is kind of just buying him a small amount of time. It's not a big deal. I don't really care. So long as my town center is up. And this is a big thing with, especially when you watch a player like Chemo playing. It's like, he doesn't really care. If you're going to kind of all in the town center and try and get some damage done, that's not going to be enough. You also have to get the next bit of damage and the next bit of damage. It's not going to be enough to just kill one citizen, back off, drop your own town center, and expect to be ahead. Nonetheless, what you'll notice on this forward town center now is, I know he's got hoplites, I know he's got minotaurs, I know he's building units. So I'm going to attempt to make this town center on the front as uninviting to attack as possible. I've got a Gaia forest on there. I've got my barracks. I've also got a gold mine behind. He's going after this this temple and this gold mine. I didn't actually finish defending it, but it's not the biggest of deals. If he wants to run around, it's kind of safe at the moment. Once the temple goes down, I'll be a little bit more upset, and I'm going to have to do something else. But I do have other options for the moment, so I don't mind just abandoning this position. I can't really defend it anyways. Trying to get myself watchtowers to sort of hold a little bit, but to be honest, it's probably a waste of resources at this point. It's probably better to just be investing everything into more military buildings. But nonetheless, these hero citizens come in so clutch. They are one of the reasons why Gaia is so good at defending. But nonetheless, we're losing manners where life is a little bit challenging. So first thing first, when you're in these positions, just don't panic. I'm not losing anything important. Losing a tower isn't important. Losing a temple isn't important. Losing a manor isn't important. Losing a citizen is important. So if I can keep my villagers nice and safe, you can see I'm even eating goats at 7 minutes and 30 seconds. I don't care. It's safe. I'm not going to lose any villagers. I'm going to be fine. I know that at the moment, Shelty is one town center. So every villager cycle that passes is me getting an entire citizen in front of where my opponent is at. So I just have to be careful. That's it. I'm chasing my opponent away. He's got a couple of hoplites over here. I noticed it, thankfully. That's a really nice play from him, as I'm attacking him. He's going to come and raid me elsewhere. But so always keeping your eye on the mini-map and making sure you're okay there. I get caught out a little bit as I send the wrong units back. I should have taken everything back there. Don't want to remember, like, fundamentals. They even at this level they apply. So yeah, I should have run away. And I do a little bit. I like to be a little bit greedy in these situations. I don't recommend it because you can get caught out. But if I go off to a gold mine that my opponent's not going to think I'm on while they're trying to get a whole bunch of pressure onto me, they're probably not going to look there. They're probably going to look to the gold mine in the middle of the map. They're going to expect me to be on the right one. They're going to expect me to be on the top one, or the one behind my base, I mean. But they're probably not going to expect me over on the left. So I'm just thinking, okay, where's a really stupid place for me to put some villagers? If they find those villagers, it's bad. But if they do go over there and kill the villagers, at least they're not elsewhere killing my stuff. Okay, so now here's the really important part. It's 9 minutes into the game. My town center's been up for about 4 minutes. I haven't really paid it off just yet. You pay it off at about 5 minutes in. So I will pay it off, but you know, it's not quite as good of a position as I'd like. And I say, all right, I haven't paid it off. I'm a little bit behind where I should be. I've had a little bit of idle villager time in this game, unnecessarily and forced. So I'm going to have to abandon the town center and just say, hey, you didn't kill any villagers. This means I just need to hold in my main base with these units. Now, you could do this on any civ, right? Like you could go for a 5-second town center, your opponent all-ins you, that you lose your town center. It's not a problem so long as you don't lose the villages. You just have to retreat back into a different position on the map. And you can literally do this throughout the entirety of the game. If your opponent comes in to kill you in one area, losing the buildings is the least of your concerns. The villages are everything, right? He's going to charge in. I see him with medium infantry. Unfortunately, I'm only now starting to research it, so I feel like I got to sack a little bit more. I did find myself a really nice choke point here as I'm still waiting on this thing. I see no heroes close to those hoplites. He does click restoration. I probably should be pulling back here. I do have my town center helping out and a carnivore that's not being attacked by the heroes, so I know that it's not a terrible fight with medium infantry coming in, and I don't really have another option at this point. So this is where we're do or die, and Shelty knows this as well. He knows he can take a decent fight here. Even if he loses this fight, probably not the worst trade, but also it's not a great trade for him either. He probably should have killed the town center, and the next decision being, okay, time to drop my own town center while continuing to put pressure on. Nonetheless, we're going to be able to hold here, and now I'm at 62 villages, and I assume he's probably at somewhere between 40 and 50 villages at the moment. Probably closer to 40 than 50. So I'm happy to now go, all right, his advantage now, which is completely fine. I'm like, this is where this game is going. His advantage now is he's going to have food. He's going to have hunt on the map, and that's where he's going to be able to make up for these resources I need to spend on farms. And this is something I absolutely love in Age of Mythology. It's this idea of Shelty put all this effort into getting damage done. He got damage done because he had a really nice strategy, and it did catch me out to some degree. I mean, there's not much I could have done about it. It works. But I have the option of running, keeping my villagers alive. He gets damage done. He gets map control. He gets the food. I have to build farms, which he's not going to have to do. So even though I'm in front on villager count, I'm behind on the resources that I need to spend. So at this moment, yes, my score's in front. Yes, my villager count's in front. But no, I'm not in front in this position as he spots my villagers on the gold. And I say, okay, this is now my opportunity to look for a raid. I know he's going to be on a second gold mine somewhere. I don't know where it is. I know it's not on the right. So I'm going to check forward, see if he's there, and I'm going to split my army up and try and find some villages here. Now, my base building here has been pretty good. He's not going to be able to just rush straight in and kill off my town center. But I do have to be a little bit careful here with him running in and just killing villagers. So I have to make sure I garrison and get everything done there. He's chasing me around. I'm going into his main base. And I think I won't be surprised to see, because it's pretty obvious, there's no gold left. You see how there's no gold with the storehouse. And at this point, we're just going, okay, I just need to make units. I need to make sure that I'm putting pressure on him. And I'm not taking pressure. It would be nice. I'm maybe a little kind of slow as Gaia. And I think he's probably still sitting at more military than me. Most likely. Remember, I had to spend a ton of resources on the farm, so he should be able to find a little bit more pressure, and he is doing so very, very well. And but the thing is, if I find villager kills here, or idle time, which I'm managing to do, all of a sudden, I'm really, really having a good time. So I also find villagers in that corner. I push him off the gold, but Shelty, a little bit greedy to stay on those crowned crane there. Or maybe didn't realize it. But yeah, you might now ask at this point, okay, well, this is a bit of a strange game. You're just building Milo against hoplites. I think I made a slight mistake here. I think I should have put down, as I do right now, much earlier. I should have put down a counter barracks, probably when my town center fell. And the counter barracks is, I guess I was struggling for wood at that point, but I should have probably got out 1 or 2 Caraballista to heroize and just leave in my base. They're not going to be raiding. They're not going to be leaving my base, but that would be a huge defensive resource to just sit in my base and prevent the hoplites from charging in there. And then a little bit later on, I can push out, and I won't care if they get caught out and die, because I want to replace them with Arcus a little bit later anyways. But nonetheless, we're very far in front right now after all the raids. I need to be still careful. There is still the weakness of One, I don't have a temple. Luckily, I've got 3 oracles out, and he hasn't found my oracles. But I don't have a temple yet, so I can't rebuild them. I've got a very limited amount of favor, and I need to make heroes to deal with these Minotaur. One thing that I think Shelty has missed in this game, which is a very big upgrade, is Labyrinth of Minos. If he gets that upgrade, all of a sudden those Minotaurs start looking incredibly scary. I'm hitting full population, and I have to make a decision. Okay, how am I going to deal with hoplites here? Can I get Heroic Age and get the Arcus, or do I just keep on trying to trade with Murmillos? Now, on paper, Murmillo versus Hoplite is incredibly close, but I'm in front on armory upgrades. We've got Bite of the Shark versus Sarissa, so that's equal. I've got copper weapons, I've got copper mail, and I've got a Caladria flying overhead that should be able to heal up a little bit. And if I could have more, I would want more, but at the moment I don't have that temple, and my gold income's a little bit low. But nonetheless, I feel like I should be able to win these fights. Now, the one thing I didn't really account for is Sarissa is, while I'm trying to take the fight, Sarissa is a interesting technology because it allows a player look at the units for the hoplites. If I stick on this fight enough, it allows a player to take a fight and be attacking much quicker than you are. So even if on paper, DPS-wise, effective HP-wise, your unit should be winning, the Sarissa Hoplite are just attacking first. So it's really important, or faster, I should say, so they're getting more DPS off than you might think. So it's really important to get your units into the right position. But even if you do that, like I'm trying to micro my army around and tell them where to go, but even if you do that, the Minotaur are there to just send them flying, and this doesn't really do that much damage. At least I don't feel like it does. But what does do damage is the fact that I'm not dealing damage when they're getting hit away. So that crowd control is actually a really big deal. But we managed to hold there and send him packing for the moment. But now he's getting his second town center. So I need to think about, okay, well, I don't really need a second town center. But if I fall behind on population here, life's going to be really tough. So I'm just going to grab my left town center. At this point, I know that there's not really, I'm full population, so it's fine to grab a town center here. Technically speaking, I think the better choice would have been a Heroic Age here, because we're at 84 villages. I'm not going to fall behind on the villager count. I'm going to hit 100 villages before he catches up, most likely sitting on 1 town center of production versus his 2 at this point. But I choose the town center. It's not a big deal. That being said, I'm losing these fights. I think I'm winning. I don't have any heroes to deal with that Minotaur, but I think I'm winning. But in actuality, defensive advantage or defender's advantage here is very good. So I should be retreating back. But I know at this point my economy is just kind of insane. So I can afford to make these mistakes. I shouldn't make them, but I can afford to make them. But anyways, obviously need to get those oracles out as I'm really wanting to get heroes. And this is something that I'm able to do because I have this second town center. I do realize that this gold mine is going to be open. I know that's a gold mine he's going to want to be on. So I can potentially send some stuff over there and be okay. And I'll get my third town center. And this has been a very fun defensive game from me. And I'm sure, I'm not 100% sure if Shelty enjoys playing like this, but I think he enjoys these sorts of games of just full chaos and stuff. Very fun game. And yeah, at this point, the economy is most likely going to carry through because Shelty just couldn't find the damage. If he'd picked off, say, I don't know, maybe like 5 to 10 citizens over the course of the skirmishes, I think he maybe picked off 2. He's probably looking to be very close in economy. So it's not a lot of damage he really needs to do. And if I didn't find that kill on the left-hand corner, he'd be like probably not even needing to get those kills here, and he'd probably be equal, right? So if he just looked after his villagers, you can see what I'm saying. It's like he gets damage done. I try to survive. I have to run away. I accept the damage and say, great, no problems. But yeah, Shelty I managed to have a nice sneaky oracle in that corner, spotting those villagers, so I get even more villager kills, and every little bit here is absolutely gigantic. Shelty does something very nice there where he runs off with half of his units, and I don't catch it, so he probably could have won that fight a little bit, but he has to run away from the town center. But nonetheless, now we're 3 town centers. Still pumping out these Deuterinos. I see I'm on his gold mine now. He's obviously got a town center so he can run away, but if he's not paying attention, he's not paying attention. We're able to go up through Thea, and at this point, the thing that I'm most scared of is that my Murmillo are not going to be able to deal with the army that's coming. Because I did just spend a lot of resources on advancing. And half of my army is off raiding. So all of his units are here to take this fight. But I do have an extra town center on him. So that should count for something. And as I said earlier, you know, the answer to hoplites, or the only real answer to hoplites, which Gaia has, is going to be Arcus, and Dryads are also really, really good. So a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, and we just keep on getting these raids in while Min defending is a nice one. So yeah, like I said, this is a really, really interesting, or was a really, really interesting kind of game, because you don't get to see this sort of style at the top level all too much. Not because it's bad. Don't get me wrong, this is a really, really good style from Shelty, but it does put the game into your hands. I'm the defender. If he outplays me, I lose. If I outplay him, I can find an advantage and win, right? So it's a very, very like, you're definitely playing for outplays more than kind of relying on specific timings or strategies or tactics to find a win. And I did see the map, and I said it's going to be a possibility for me. There's plenty of other angles to play Gaia against Zeus. You don't have to go for the fast second town center in this matchup, but if you've got a nice map, go for it. Give it a try. If your opponent comes at you with some crazy all-in, whether it be sort of Frere, early portable rams, or the Zeus hoplites, or potentially a one town center Isis all-in, don't be afraid to sack a town center if you feel like you haven't paid it off and your army's not equal yet. That's the lesson. I hope you enjoyed this one. A little bit of post-commentary action. I had a lot of fun playing this one. I'll leave you with my thoughts after the live game. Early on from the settlement, we had the settlement for how long? 5 minutes? 4 minutes? So that's a significant amount of civilian units. And I didn't really lose that many. So I was able to keep that lead and just survive because of it, I guess. These hoplites are really, really strong. He didn't have any of these upgrades. I was just like, I'm not winning the fights. I needed to spread the lush. That was something I forgot to do. That would have helped out a ton if I got some granaries, economic guilds down. Because when my units are fighting on lush, all of a sudden they've got like artificially more HP. But yeah, fighting here without lush was mistakes. Mistakes were made. Well, GG.